Everybody. This is Noah, and welcome to the first episode of Noah's Thought Bubbles. I've been pretty excited to get started on this whole project. I guess there's a couple of things before we get started. First, as you might notice, I'm in the collared shirt. I just got out of work today. I am quite tired. um, Especially when you're doing engineering, it takes a lot of brain power, and usually I'm pretty exhausted after work. I usually try to like make sure that I have time to do whatever I need to do after work to unwind or have fun with my friends, but I am quite tired, so apologies if I'm a little bit more kind of like rambly, or I don't know, maybe like less lucid than usual. I guess that's the first thing, but I guess it kind of works out because especially for episode 1, I figured I might as well kind of dress up slightly and look presentable and not wear the t-shirt and shorts that I like to wear everywhere because it's just comfortable. But that's the first thing. And then I guess as a second note, I saw a comment on the intro video that was really well put and a really good point of like kind of how do I make sure that these episodes aren't like scripted of like, oh, I'm just kind of like reading off of like a script or a prompter or something. And this was like something that I had thought of beforehand when I was kind of coming up with the idea was, especially if I want to talk about something that I'm like passionate about, how do I one like kind of diversify things to the point where like I'm not just talking about like sports all the time, or I'm not just talking about like mental health, or if I'm not just talking about something, et cetera, right? You get it. Like, how do I not just talk about engineering all the time and like kind of be able to approach topics that like maybe I don't really want to touch sometimes, but I'm like comfortable talking about or exploring. Um, and then that's kind of one part of it. And two is kind of how do I do it in such a way where, like, let's say the topic of the day is like some sports game, like a baseball game or something like that, right? Like, how do I approach it in the sense of like, I'm not gonna come in and be like, okay, like I know what happened during the game, and I'm gonna tell you like first inning, second inning. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I make it so it's not like as scripted? So like in the sense of like, let's just say I'm talking about turning in projects for engineering. How do I do it in such a way where it's like not really robotic and not really scripted? And so that's kind of how I came up with the idea of having this blind box, or like a kind of grab bag of sorts of how, or I'll explain it later, you'll see it, but basically being able to do it in such a way that it's like semi random, so like one, I'm kind of diversifying my opinions, and also at the same time I'm not able to just like script and say like whatever, of course I could do it and like cut it, but I don't want to edit, and I don't want to edit. You probably will figure this out sooner than later, but I'm not very much a big editing guy. So a lot of whatever happens, if there's background noise, it'll just stay in, or if like I'm stuttering or whatever, it'll just stay in. So I guess might as well just get it started. So I didn't really have like, I wanted to put it in a Tupperware box, but the best I have is this IKEA Ziploc bag that I have, and basically I came up with off the cuff in my head of kind of like some topics that I wanted to talk about listed to 1 through 20, and I kind of have it on like a Google document, and basically each of these has like a post-it with a slip that has a number 1 through 20, and I'm just gonna randomly close my eyes and pick one, and then basically just go on with that topics, which is kind of how I imagine the rest of these going. I guess something I want your guys' opinion on is if you want me to kind of like have a running Google Doc or a running document at least to show kind of what things that I have talked about, or I don't really want to release like the whole list of like every topic, because then you'll see exactly what some thoughts I have, and kind of that defeats the whole purpose of it. So I might just have like a master list of like, let's just say episode 1, and then it'll say like whatever topic it is, and then maybe have like a hyperlink to the video or something like that. But if that's something you guys are interested in, please let me know. But yeah, um other than that, I think that's about it. So we might as well just get started. I really shouldn't have done it with post-it notes, by the way, because they all stick together, and I'm kind of an idiot for doing it that way. But like, it is what it is. Anyway, uh, let me pick. I think this is one slip. Okay, cool, cool. This is the first one. Ooh, yo, I'm terrible, guys. Let me live. The first one is number 2 is the first one we pulled, which is quick rises in athlete popularity are dangerous. Okay, how do I want to start with this? I kind of had this thought, especially with kind of how social media is, and especially watching throughout, events like March Madness or even like sometimes the Olympics. Of you have a lot of athletes where it takes like kind of like the world by storm, whether it's via their play. A lot of times in March Madness, I feel like there's a lot of athletes that kind of like hit game winners. For example, like I know he didn't pop off, but Otega Owe hitting that one shot that he hit from half court over my own university was quite sad to watch as a fan of Santa Clara. But I guess like one of the biggest examples would be like Braylon Mullins, right, for UConn hitting that shot, and now suddenly he's on ESPN. He's all over socials. You kind of see like in every highlight video, it's just this shot from like way, way, way behind the 3 point line, and of course it's like you kind of are happy for them, of course, because they like deserve it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you work so hard and you have like this really, really big pop off moment, but a lot of times I feel like putting them on that kind of big pedestal is so dangerous just because like it sets kind of like this unrealistic expectation for what they need to be. So, one of the things that I thought about, I guess, when just reading that prompt off the hip would be kind of the case of Isaiah Thomas, who is like if you don't know, that's a problem. But like if you do know, or if you don't know, basically Isaiah Thomas is a small guard who came out, played for Boston, had like this one crazy MVP year, and then like his expectations just shot sky high, and then he could never really attain it, and it like causes a lot of mental distress. I think like especially when everyone around you in your like social circle or like even on social media is telling you like you got to be an MVP, or like you're expected to do all these great things, and then you undershoot it, then it kind of like causes them to like lash out, like why aren't you like the best, why aren't you like doing this, and it sets like such a unhealthy precedent for them, I feel like, in terms of just their play. Like it's really hard to maintain being the best at all times, and sometimes it is just like you have one good year and that's it. But like setting those expectations for them, kind of, I think sometimes it you internalize it yourself, of like, even for me when I was coaching basketball, because I helped coach my intramural team, and I was kind of known as like the basketball knowledge guy or the coaching guy. And like even it's like such a small scale, but even still, I felt like even in those games where we're struggling to perform, that I feel like it's like the onus is like a lot on me because I'm supposed to be the one leading them. And it's like you kind of take that times a thousand. People are all telling you like you gotta, like, they basically expect so much of you that like you start to expect it of yourself, and then when you don't reach that like high, it feels really, really like really bad. So that's part of it. I think also it's just like the lifestyle of, I think there's such a big power, and a thing that I like take for granted, of like being able to kind of have the freedom to go wherever and do whatever, if that makes sense. Like especially when you're just a smaller athlete, sometimes you can still kind of like just hang out and be a normal college kid. Like on Santa Clara's campus, you see the basketball players walking around all the time. But I think when you have those moments where like you skyrocket in popularity, sorry, I told you I was tired, but like when you have those moments when you skyrocket in popularity, it's like suddenly everyone wants a picture, everyone wants a signature. Now it's like you can't really like, it's hard to like go places and just kind of exist as like you normally were. And like you kind of hit like, especially for those who hit like really, really high highs, right, and like you hit like celebrity status, like it makes it super dangerous, because like not only is it like not only is it kind of such a change in public perception or lifestyle, but it's also on the same token can be dangerous, especially with a lot of people making parasocial relationships, of like they feel like they're your friend or your coach, and like they want to like run after you and tell them, or like do whatever, and it like can be quite dangerous. And so I think that that part of it is also dangerous, of like just the social aspect of going from maybe not as well known and just kind of living your life, to now it's like you got to watch what you say in the public eye, or like what you do, or like you're gonna have people watching you and taking pictures, and like for me, that's something that I'm like really grateful for, that I can just kind of like live my life and not have to worry about any of that sort of stuff, because it's just such a, I think it's part, it comes with a job for sure, like as an athlete, like doing media and like being in the public eye, but especially once it starts getting to like the parasocial level where it gets really dangerous, of like people think like they know you personally just because they see what you do online. Like I think that's the super dangerous part. And then also kind of what I talked about previously, which was partially just like the sports aspect, just performance based, of having this high expectation. Of course, athletes I think will have high expectations for themselves naturally, but just getting the public to turn on you at any moment if your like performance drops even by a little bit is kind of just like, I don't know, it's just so insane. So I guess as like kind of like a wrap up summary, if you are fans, of course you want to, of course I'm not telling you to like not cheer for people, right? Because like I think that's like the most, some of the most unifying moments in sports is when you have people to rally behind and people to kind of carry the flag forward for like a large group of fans or people. But at the same time, I think it shouldn't ever get to a point where we're setting really, really hard expectations. And when our expectations aren't met, basically lashing out at the athletes, we should kind of just let them um, set their own expectations and be who they are and compete and get what they want out of the competition. Because even if they just want to play for fun, like that should be what it is. We shouldn't be the ones as fans to set the expectations for what they do, I feel like. And then also on the same token, just kind of be respectful to people, especially if someone is just learning how to kind of be in the public eye or have like how do I put it, like basically like if they're just like starting out and like kind of grow super super quickly, then like they're also human and understand that like that almost cultural shift or just hard shift in mentality is going to be super super hard and may take time for them to adjust. So try to be kind, and it doesn't hurt to just be like, if you see your favorite athlete out wherever, just be like, hey, like, is it okay if like you take a picture or whatever, and like don't expect anything of them for sure, of like you don't, it shouldn't be like an expectation that they're always going to have to say yes, because sometimes you just are busy or you have a bad day. But that's, I think, most of what I want to talk about. I feel like that's like a good kind of stopping point. I don't know where to stop with these, because um I don't want to ramble on for too long, but basically that's kind of my thoughts. It can be quite dangerous, I feel like, having quick rise in athlete popularity, but it's also a good thing because role models, etc., etc., but it can also be a bad thing in terms of setting very very high expectations. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess hopefully you guys enjoyed me yapping for 13 minutes or so. I don't know how long it's going to be. I think it's 13 minutes. It's what I see on my camera. But yeah, I guess let me know what you guys think about the topic. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say, cuz if you guys watch the intro video, it's partly for me to voice some of my opinions and kind of explore some things that I'm passionate about, but also at the same time, I want to create a space where you guys have the opportunity to voice your opinions and kind of we can have a dialogue, whether it's I agree, like it can be dangerous and we should be able to um kind of take care of athletes in that way and be respectful, or it can also be the opposite point, maybe it's you're coming from the camp where it's it comes with the territory of being in that space and being as good as you are in what you do, and so you got to be ready for like whatever comes with that job, which can be kind of being in the public eye and having that social presence. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.